So we're in a new year. We're in a new chapter in everybody's miserable lives. It's time to reflect on 2021. I watched a disgusting amount of seasonal anime, as well as a lot of retro anime. So I'm gonna just go over the year. Overall, it was bad. It's obvious, as expected. The majority of the anime that came out last year was just low effort. I mean, when has anime ever been different? I mean, I can appreciate the 70s and 80s era for how sincere it was, but nowadays it's just the profit motive has continued to make anime the overall embarrassment that it is. So I'm gonna go back on all the 2021 series that I watched. Unfortunately, because Mao is so terrible, I cannot filter it correctly. So I opened a few tabs up for the ones that are still running, and I gotta sort through this. Anyways, let's start. The ASMR anime. This is basically for people who have fetishes. This is all this serves to. It's fan service. This anime is audible fan service. That's all it is, really. I despise it. I find it really offensive, and it should never have existed. 86. 86 is an interesting series because the studio has a habit of having the first part of the season be really bad, just slow, boring, and horrible. But then halfway through the season, it picks up and it becomes good. When the second um when the second core came out, or second season actually, whatever you call it, it did the same thing. The first couple of episodes were boring, slow. I hated it. I had to drag myself to watch it. And then halfway through it, it picks itself back up. It gets better. It gets much better. The thing about 86 is that what I don't like about 86 is the character development, because none of the 86 matter besides Shin. They don't bother to develop any of the other 86. I can't even tell you anything about them because they're so forgettable and irrelevant. They've been reduced to background characters who are like in Scarlet Nexus, characters that are just there just to be there. I wish they would have developed them all. And why I don't like Frederica. She feels so out of place. And why she's for her age, she's like a wise sage type personality. What is she? But the best thing, the worst thing about 86 is that the best thing about it is not there. With this second season, Lena hasn't been Milize hasn't been there. Like why? I get it. Sometimes the main characters aren't there, but it's really hard when you take the best character out of 86 and then rely on the rest to carry the show, because in this case it doesn't work. If they would have bothered to make all the 86 meaningful and well developed, then yes, it can work. But without Milize, the 86 can carry the show. All these new characters, I don't like any of them. They're just hollow replacements for Milize. So her not being in the majority of this is definitely a huge mistake. She should have been there. What I loved about 86 is just the dynamic between the 86 and Milize. How she loves them and she supports them, but she is slowly learning that to really support the 86, she has to go against her own government. So, yeah, it baffles me why they decided to just keep Milize out. Because it's literally Shin doing all the work. And his character is complicated because, yes, he is the Reaper, he is the Undertaker. But his boring, bland personality gets old real fast. I mean, at least they gave him this sadistic edge where he grins and smiles, but that's about it. They don't do much with it besides show you that he is slowly going insane because of the voices he hears, killing off his own brother, and everything else that he does. I would try to be light on spoilers, by the way, because I have to talk about a lot of series. So I'll try to leave out anything that's crucial in case anybody's watching this who, well, obviously nobody's wasted their life to the extent that I have watching all this anime. I am playing music from a really old anime, by the way, that I do plan to talk about eventually. Anyway, 86, yeah. I have a love-hate type of feeling for it. There's 2 episodes left. They're going to come out in March. By then, I just not going to care anymore by that point. All right. By the way, if you've seen an anime here you want me to talk about, feel free to comment about it and I'll rewatch it. A lot of my early content is really bad because I was just doing plot summaries. It took me a while to figure out, or to at least get a basic idea of what does it mean to analyze. Back arrow. This is a Taniguchi project from the guy who was involved with Code Geass. So you can expect the exact same thing with this. Extremely wild plot twist. After the second half, it gets extremely intense because they built up the characters and then they involve them all in just shocking plot twists. Uh, who the the main character is an idiot. He reminds me of Goku. He has that kind of mentality. But overall, it was very enjoyable. It's nice to have something like this come out in an age where mecha like that just doesn't really seem to come into the limelight anymore. Back era was bashed. It's no one really seemed to like it. But I appreciate it though. It's a solid 8. I did talk about him on this channel, but I did basically that was during my plot summary arc. So none of them are really worth watching. But it's definitely enjoyable. The writer is the Gurren Lagann writer. That explains why the character art looks similar sometimes. I did watch by now, but that didn't come out last year. It came out a while back. Blue Fashion Ray is a series that has developed a small cult following. The reason why this exists because it's promoting the game Blue Reflection Time, the sequel to Blue Reflection, a video game series with incredible music. This one started off interesting. It had a strong middle, and it got boring and bland, and it ended terribly. But again, it's to promote a game, so the effort is not really there. I think the style was kind of new, perhaps. The entire series revolves around feelings and whether or not humans should or should not have feelings. So you have one group of girls that supports feelings, and you have another group of girls that does not want feelings. So the series is asking you, who is right, who is wrong. There is one character in here that I think carries the show because of how bizarrely perverted she is. Her name is Uta. Yeah, it was actually 2 core. It was 24 episodes. Overall, forgettable. Bill Divide, Cold Black. I want to say this is the best card anime that came out last year, but I didn't watch any other card game animes that came out last year. But this one is very good. It has one of the most lovable main characters. He's hilarious. That's Teruto. He's so awkward and strange. Everything he does is just funny. Yeah, Bill Divide is this card game, and it has that typical card game anime approach where as you watch the series, you learn about the game, you see how it works and all that. But at least they managed to make really good characters, really good developments, really interesting story. It was good from beginning to end. There was not a single episode that I did not like. They even had a beach episode, and it was still entertaining. Yes, I really appreciate Blue Divide Cold Black. It's one of my favorites from last year. It gave me hope. Cypher forever, Cypher for life. Let's see. Yeah, that new Code Geass is gonna come out pretty soon, but maybe not too soon. I didn't even talk about the Cowboy Bebop Netflix thing because I would not have said anything new. Deep Insanity, The Lost Child. I didn't do a review on this one because I just didn't really have anything to say about it. So these people they go to Antarctica and they find this world down below. They don't really explain a lot of things that happen in the series or why they are the way they are. But it's a series that it's literally about being insane. The characters are literally fighting and struggling in a way that is insane. And it is about the lost child. The lost child is the key to it all. But they don't explain why, really. They don't explain a lot of things. Way too many things. Shigure, the main character, at least... Okay, so he started off very boring, very bland, very terrible. I didn't like him at all. But he grows so much that by the end of it, you really end up respecting him as a main character. He's one of those I want to be a hero type things. But yeah, those last 3 episodes or so, yeah, he really grows on you. Yeah, he grew up so much. I'm proud of him because he managed to get away from that pool of bland, boring protagonists. Also, Leslie is best girl. Okay, let's see what we got here. I had a dirty pear phase, and I love it. This is my childhood right here going by. Evangel- I'm about to get to it, aren't I? Yeah, Evangelion 3.0 plus one. Okay, so here's one thing about my channel, and I am not even, I am not even ashamed to admit this. If you look at my analytics, I have more dislikes than likes on this channel. My video on Evangelion 3.0 plus 1.0 is part of the reason why I like me, because it has 100 dislikes. As soon as the film came out subbed, I watched it on A. A had a thread where we all watched Evangelion together. It was like 60 of us. It was a ride. It was a very very amusing, and I was just laughing at how bad this is. How the plot is just convoluted, messy. Nothing gets explained. Who is it? Mary. Mary is literally a broken character that is just there for the sake of that. It's just they don't explain what she is. She's just there to um, be convenient for the plot. Because many times you think to yourself, why is she here? How did she get here? How is she doing that? The CGI was hilarious. It was awful. Some even the sound effects were funny, like the bonk during one of the mecha fights. Yeah, this was a tragic train wreck, but it fell into the category for me, such as Tesla now, where it was so bad it was good. But I made a video just lightly criticizing it, just lightly, nothing serious, nothing deep, just surface level thoughts. And the Evangelion community came after me. Yeah, that was that. Yeah, I love this movie not because it was good, but because it was bad. Good music though. That composer always delivers. I should have watched the new Fruits Basket. I kind of regret not watching that one. To Your Eternity, Crybait. It had the first episode is significantly better than the rest of the series. This show is all about making you cry. It's about making you get attached to characters and then uh, playing with your emotions. I mean, the main character is way too powerful, and at the same time, not so powerful. It's the writing is really bad. It starts off strong, but this has the same formula, repetition. H. Brandon Rambles said that no, this series is not repetitive. Yes, it is very repetitive. Like buy a dictionary and read it. How about you do that? However, I can appreciate it sometimes, but it did really bad. The second half was just awful. The island prison arc. Why? Why did they do that? I don't like it when anime introduce a character and make them not likable at first, and then flip it around and try to make them likable. Because by that point, I have not liked them for so much, so strongly. There's nothing that would ever change my opinion, no matter what they do. Because writing in this is mediocre, anyways. Like, people think this is a masterpiece because it made them cry, not because it's good, but because it made them cry. I will be watching season 2 though. Genya Yuden Setsu, a diamond in the rough. Gin Girl. Was that this year? No, I don't think it was. Okay. Godzilla SP, essentially pseudoscience. The people that wrote this, yes, they know a lot about science and physics and all that, chemistry and all that. But the thing about that series, it felt like a build up towards season 2, because nothing really happens till the till around the end. Like, yes, the mystery of what's happening, the science behind it, it's fun to try to explore and figure out and theorize. But nothing really happens until the end when you think about it. So season 2 should be chaotic. I don't think they're gonna do the build up all over again. But it has solid music, it has solid characters. I like the mystery behind the writing, but it's pseudoscience. It's nonsense a lot of the time. The fights are decent, the monsters are there. It references a lot of older Godzilla works. Overall, it's fine if you want something that's very deep on a scientific level, but I can understand when people think it's boring and just dropped it. It was also a Netflix deal, so nobody cared anyways. Heike Monogatari. On my anime list, this is my best received review, which I don't understand why, because it wasn't even that good of a review. I give it a 9 out of 10. People who I respect, like Single H, bashed it, said it was bad because it's rushed. And yes, it is rushed, but it didn't offend me. But I think it's because I did not read the source material. So yes, it does move very fast. Some of the best characters, their arcs get rushed so bad, it kind of feels underwhelming. The music is very strange for the setting. It doesn't fit at all. But overall, I really appreciated what it was trying to do. But there are people who just are offended by this because of how rushed it is. I mean, I guess it's rushed, but I still loved it. Best opening and ending of the season, by the way. Oh, Nagatoro. The problem with rom-coms is that the joke gets old, and eventually it starts being funny. Rom-coms have plots that just barely ever move anywhere. Okay, look, Karakano did it right. Yes, Karakano fell apart at the end, but Karakano did it right. I don't think Ano was doing anything good after that, but um, Ijiran Nagatoro-san, I really enjoyed the first half of it. By the second half, the repetition was just so monotonous and old and stale. I just it fell apart for me. The art is the character modeling and animation is really wonky towards the end and sloppy and messy. But I will be watching season two. There is a season two coming out. I didn't really like the president. Basically, a piece of fan service meat. Speaking of Initial D, the the person that wrote this story is making a manga at the moment that's ongoing called MF Ghost. It just got announced a anime adaptation. So maybe we're gonna get a sequel because it's in the same world. Maybe we get some more Eurobeat, some more CGI car races. I'm looking forward to that. Jiran, the Princess of Snow and Blood. This has Code Geass tier plot twists. And the funny thing about this series is that it resolves its conflict very early into the series. So for the majority of the second of the series afterwards, towards the end, it's very aimless. The art becomes very ugly at times. The animation is laughable. It's like Looney Tunes tier, and just a lot of the things happening just don't make sense. A lot of very unnecessary things happen. Overall, it's a messy, sloppy series. It's garbage. It was one of the most hated among that season. And the ending, man, like why would you do that? It's a horrifying disaster. Sawa is cool though. I want to bully her. If you like Asha no Joe, if you like Asha no Joe, watch Kaze no Yuini. That's Chiba's version of Joe. Yeah, it's interesting because the writer of Asha no Joe and the artist of Asha no Joe, they're both opposites, and you can see it in Joe's character. That's probably something I should talk about later in the video. Komi can't communicate. It's really funny. The direction is masterful because this one, it's basically a rom com in the making, but the joke never really gets old. Like yeah, Komi's constant bug eyed and shaking and non talking, it does get old or sometimes. But overall, every episode was just enjoyable and funny. But it's above average. It has nothing else going above its comedy. The characters are whatever. They're just like stereotypes that are predictable and boring. Tadano is a boring character. Somebody somebody there's a podcast that I watched and they thought that their protagonist of the year was Tadano and I did an ugly laugh because I was like, why should have picked Teruto or Yamato but not Tadano. The boy literally is just there to be this supportive cheerleader. Najimi is the highlight of the series. but it's consistently funny. That's why I praise it. But eventually, repetition will kill this series. Kyokai Senki, one of the biggest disappointments. Sunrise. What were you thinking? So this is the only mecha series that is not doing CGI. They went straight 2D. So it seemed hopeful, but the animation is so lazy. Like, come on, man. Watch Macross if you want some awesome detailed mecha fights. And here it's literally still frames with cheap effects and flashing lights and they try to call it animation. The story is bland. It's almost saves the day. The politics is underwhelming and boring and confusing. Some of the villains are too smart for their own good. Ghost carried it. Ghost is the best part of Kyokai Senki. And the worst part is we're only halfway there because it's gonna come back in April. I think or was it March? I think it was March. Yeah, but it's a disappointment. The Pokemon are annoying. Guy especially. Lupin the Third has been good. This is like, oh, in the West, Lupin is like unknown. I don't know anybody around here that knows about Lupin. But it's an amazing series. It's episodic, but it's good, which is rare because episodic anime tends to throw the plot out the window, and every episode is like a standalone. But the writing is just done well. They have writers. Mamoru Oshii is in this as a guest writer. The dialogue is witty, clever, brilliant. It's funny. I mean, Lupin is just an amazing franchise. You don't need to watch anything before this. You can start here, and you will learn from episode zero. Will already show you what will already give you the basics of what Lupin is about. So don't be scared to watch this. You don't need to watch anything before it to understand it. Mars Red. If Mars Red was 6 episodes long, and it cut the second half that was worse off, and rearranged the order, it would have been a masterpiece. A stage play about vampires. The first episode was one of the best first episodes, and it kind of falls apart from there. The main character is useless, boring. Kaira should have been the main character. Yamagami was an amazing character. Some of these characters are just like, why are they even there? They don't do anything. Yeah, but it's emotionally, it's driven on emotion, and it does nail it sometimes. I'm just upset because half the episodes were literally just they shouldn't have even existed. It dragged on too much. But I do appreciate Mars Red though. I do appreciate it, but it has those flaws. Mars Red Zero Kikang Nipo. Yeah, those are interesting things that anime does. Mangaton Q Musashi is the best anime nobody watched last year. It wasn't licensed. It had no official subs, but it was definitely the best mecha of last year that I saw at least, and among the highlights of anime in general for 2021. Lovable main character. Yamato is so different. He's a breath of fresh air among all the bland and terrible protagonists that came out last year. Destructively chaotic CGI that looks good. A decent story about humans versus aliens, and just a huge cast of characters, but they make the effort to develop them. Each one of them has a story that you've come to know. You've come to understand them, their struggles, their motivations, their aims. Yes, this game failed. Level 5 is in trouble, but the anime is strong, and it'll come back with a second core, I think, fall 2022. Yeah, man, I love this series, man. Definitely check it out. Mosh- Moshiku Tensei is a degenerate piece of trash about a pedophile that never gets better. This anime is all fan service. It's all fan service. It has nice background art. It skips the opening to do more plot. But this anime has nothing going for it besides its animation and production because the story is terrible. The world building is a disaster. They explore so much, but they explore so little of each place they go to. The characters are mostly irredeemable. The only good thing about this series is Roxy, who is barely ever there. Seeing her intoxicated was very amusing. Ruijerd is the best part of the series. He is the only character from the trio that I came to respect and love. But they kind of shafted him, so they kind of reduced him to what somebody said was furniture. And then Sophie was great, but she wasn't even in this. I mean, you have to watch it. You'll see. Um, who else? So Sylph, Roxy, and Rouge are the only characters that are likable. Ares is Rudolph's personal guard dog that barks for him. I mean, this is just degenerate trash. Isekai is a genre that's a mistake, but there's just so much bad isekai. When one like this comes out that has significantly good production value and is average, yeah, of course people are gonna hail it as a masterpiece. They're not me. I despise this anime. Yeah, Rudolph is a bastard, and his father is a worthless alcoholic. Model of Alternative is one of the worst adaptations I've ever seen. The community was having meltdowns week after week after week at just how bad this is, how rushed it is, the poor quality of the art. But I like the main character. Great man, great guy. Like in Deep Insanity, the Lost Chapter, the protagonist grows a lot. There is a large cast of characters that get no development almost because it depends on you um, knowing what happens beforehand. So if you're new to Muv-Luv, don't start with this. It's still bad regardless. It's another human versus aliens fight, but the aliens are mostly non-existent. It's more about human drama. Odd Taxi, one of the very few series that was actually good. I really respect Odd Taxi. Just the mystery, trying to put two and two together. Lovable characters, amazing. This has Lupin tier writing in the dialogue, where the characters have always something that's meaningful or smart to say. I really appreciate this series so much. Just I kind of got spoiled at the ending because the promotional videos kind of gave it away. Yeah, but this is an amazing series, a breath of fresh air. The funny part about Odd Taxi is nobody cared about it till afterwards because people dismissed it based on the art because people are just so ignorant. Even me, to a certain extent, did ignore it. I think at episode 3 or 4, though, I did pick it up though. So early on, I was able to get into discussions, and yeah, it was a lot of fun talking about Odd Taxi. Make sure you watch the audio dramas. This is more than an anime. It's a universe on different platforms. So you have to watch the audio dramas. And a movie got announced, which is a retelling of the story that is gonna go further in the ending to answer more questions. Yeah, but I love Odd Taxi. It's an amazing series. Don't judge a book by its cover. Yes, they all look like animals. People call it furry nonsense, but yeah, it's definitely top three of 2021 anime. Order Tsushima is an anime that only I watch and nobody else watched it. It's like the ASMR anime. It's 3.5 episodes every week, but they're funny. The comedy is consistently good. They hired a really impressive voice acting staff to basically be cats, but it's funny. It's always amusing. There's high quality in those 3.5 minutes every single time. I really enjoyed this series, but it's just so short. It just feels underwhelming in the end. But I definitely enjoyed this one last year, but just nobody cared about it. Everybody dismissed it. So Sakuan is one of the biggest disappointments ever. It is episodic trash. It gave a promising first episode and just kind of falls apart after that. The plot goes out the window. The episodes felt underwhelming. The writing was weird. It didn't make sense a lot of the time. Like, how are you gonna try to kill somebody and then afterwards everybody just kind of moves on and pretends like it didn't happen? The whole father-daughter dynamic became kind of annoying. The whole I'm smart thing got really annoying. Memempu's giant forehead is distractingly ugly. Gagamba is an idiot. The mechas are ugly. The kaijus are even uglier. The first episode though, it's just so it's so annoying when an anime starts off so well, like Sakugan, and then just falls apart and becomes trash in the end. What a shame. Sky Nexus is amongst the worst anime to ever have aired last year, but it was so bad that it was entertaining. Like I was just entertained by how bad this is. Animation is terrible. The characters are terrible. There's no character development. The plot is a thousand sci-fi plots blended together. There is too much going on. Nothing gets resolved. What was even the point of the last episode? There was no point to the last episode. It pretty much ended on the second last episode. Yeah, but I do respect Karen, what he was trying to do. Even though he's insane, literally. But yeah, annoying main characters. Arashi is the only good thing about this. The music was all trash. Yeah, this anime is just rightfully shafted and abandoned and reduced to something that people have already forgotten. Shadow House. Okay, this is gonna be much longer than I thought. So on to the next playlist. So Shadow House is a CloverWorks project that fell apart at the end so much they had to do an anime only ending. But they announced a season 2 as the manga is still going on. So they'll probably do an Asha no Joe 2, where they have to go back to where the manga left off in the first season to be able to properly continue the story. It is for being a mystery anime. It was so disappointing in the beginning because it's literally little girls cleaning houses for 15 minutes. Not interesting at all. The art is so conveniently lazy because the shadows are just all black. At least the main character is somewhat likable, even though she's this extremely optimistic and happy type of girl. Yeah, but it's all about the mystery of the Shadow House, how things unfold, the politics of it, rebellions going against it. Overall, just a mediocre series that I don't care for. But it had an amazing opening and an amazing ending. Shiki Sakura is another anime that I didn't do a review for because I just cannot find much to say about it. Ibara is the star of the show. His dialogue is so hilariously absurd and out of place. It's what makes it really funny. As a comedy, this series did nail it, but the story feels like a generic kid show. They do bother to develop their characters, though. I do appreciate that. This is a CGI show, by the way. It blends 2D and 3D. The music is actually pretty good. Has some pretty good transformation sequences. This is like kind of like Kamen Rider or like Power Rangers. It has one of the most satisfying endings of the year. Also, the entire voice cast is new. They have backgrounds in media, but all of them, this series spent no budget on voice actors, but they still did very well. Yeah, it was very pleasant though. Shiki Sakura was very pleasant, but nobody cared. Nobody cared to watch this. The Duke of Destiny is made. Another rom com that again burns itself out because of the same joke that Alice is teasing the Duke. It stops being funny eventually, though she does get more and more lewd about it. But there's this series has charm. It has charm. The story is it's wholesome. You know, again, it has a very satisfying end. There is gonna be a season 2, which I'll be watching. It's also all CGI, which is why nobody really bothered to watch it. But all the characters are fun, lovable. But the animation is just so strange. Sometimes they look like bugs and looks awkward. there is a lot of fan service here with Alice. So if you're in a fan service, definitely check this one out. The Agatop and White Sand is boring. The penguins were more entertaining. The anime is so aimless, directionless. After the first half, it loses direction. It becomes Kukuru doing boring office work nobody cares about. What is it with anime promoting this whole like get a job type of message? I think My Senpai is Annoying is another one that was like that. I didn't watch it because it didn't look interesting to me. Yeah, but this series, I would not recommend watching anything past the first core, because once the Gamma Gamma arc is resolved, it has nothing going afterwards. People were telling me that the characters are lovable, that they're great. Like, no, they're not. A lot of these characters get no development. They get shafted to the side. Learn about what character development is. This is another PA Works boring slice of life that, in the end, is just pathetic. The only thing that carried the show to the end is Fuka and Kukuru's dynamic. That's it. And of course, it's Yuri bait, because that gathers an audience. But this wasn't even a romance. Why were people expecting romance out of something that was not classified as a romance? Jesus, series is so obnoxious. Okay. Sonny Boy, anime of the year, the best thing that aired last year, by a large margin, and also one of the most misunderstood series. Sonny Boy isn't about understanding 100% of it. It's not an anime that you're gonna find all the answers for, because this anime was designed, premised off the mysteries and uncertainty of life, expressed into an anime. But it has some of the most stunning visuals, easily soundtrack of the year. Come on, Toy, Sunset Roller Coaster, an emotionally yet depressing kind of story about kids trying to find their way back home. I love this series. It was probably my favorite review of the year I did, because I love it on an emotional level. It changed my life. And people might make fun of me. People might think, oh, his life got changed by a cartoon. Well, then, did you really watch Sunny Boy? Did you really try to listen what it had to say? I don't think so. SS Dino Zenon. This show is all about the awkwardness of the main characters and their interactions. It looks pretty, yeah. It has some of the most useless villains I've ever seen. Episode 10, though, easily one of the best episodes of the year. Of course, the music is banging. Shigesu is the composer from Evangelion, Karekano. High quality music behind this production. Overall, it's above average. There's gonna be a sequel later. Tactile Destiny is proof that everything that Gacha touches turns to sludge. Horrible main characters that are so bad the side characters were better. Useless characters that never get developed. Extremely idiotic plot twists. Nonsensical. For an anime that is about music, there is almost no music in this. Directionless plot. Irrelevant side quests. Villains that are laughingly bad. Just there for the sake of being there, for having something to fight. A mistake, a terrible series. I hate it. Tesano, 10 out of 10. So bad it's good content. I cried from laughter every single episode. It's so bad it's good. At the same time, the characters are all lovable. They're all funny. They're all likable. The writing is surprisingly solid. Mickey is one of the best characters. He's funny in how awkwardly majestic he is in his deliverance. Yeah, man, this was one of my favorite series for all the wrong reasons. My Tesla Carte, extremely awkward vampire sex anime when it really comes down to it. It looks beautiful. It sounds beautiful. Nice animation, nice character designs. It's really funny. That's really all I have to say about it. So the Violet Evergarden movie did come out this year, but That's the sub. I don't think this counts as an anime for this year because it came out, I think, last year. I have to redo my Violet Evergarden video. I don't know what I was thinking with that one. Vivi Fluoride's Ice Song made me angry because it had everything it needed. It had everything it needed to be anime of the year, but it fails in its writing. It has amazing music, amazing animation. It seems so promising, but it's another convoluted sci-fi plot that just makes little sense in what happened. Put it this way: near the end, basically everything that happened didn't even matter. Boring exposition with that annoying bear, Matsumoto. But it had so much potential to be good. There's so many good scenes. It's such a shame. This could have been anime of the year, but the writer is pathetic. Yeah, so this is an anime that I don't like, and it upsets me because it could have been something. Oh no. Wonder Egg Priority is a story that is unnecessarily complicated. Unnecessarily complicated. The production was so bad they had to cram a filler episode, and the staff had to rearrange and figure out how to do the rest of the 12 episodes because they had to put in a filler episode. So towards the end, instead of resolving anything, they add more plot to it. It turns to a sci-fi. It ends in a really weird way. So then the special was announced, a 45-minute special to conclude the series, and people had hope. So what does CloverWorks decide to do since this is CloverWorks? They decide to make the first 25 minutes of the special recap. Really, CloverWorks? Not only that, instead of resolving anything, they add more plot to it. Nothing gets resolved. The special happened, and I had even more questions. I was even more confused. What a shame, because this one seemed very promising and it ended up being trash. One of the very few anime I gave a 1 to. Good music though, very good music, but I do regret buying the Blu-rays for this. I only did it for the music. Did Yigan Zishin come out this year? I'm not sure. It's literally a commercial. Oh, is that it? All right. So now to the ones that are still airing. Already talked about 86. Talked about Lupin. Rumble Garandol is the only season anime from last year I was not able to finish. I almost dropped this. I wanted to drop this. I am 2 episodes behind because the series went nowhere. This series tried to do way too much in 12 episodes. They should have skipped the hacker. They should have skipped the idol and focused on the protagonist and Bryn with the red hair. What are even the villains? What are they trying to do? When they show up, it's like Team Rocket. They're just irrelevant. They're just there to just be there. They get defeated so easily. It's about Japan fighting a alternate dimension Japan that won the war, that is portrayed as evil, but they have good intentions. Like, no, this is garbage. I'm gonna finish it though. I'm gonna finish it eventually. After episode 3, though, it just goes downhill. Also, my rankings. Top tier. This could get best anime of 2021 and 2022 because it runs in the 2022. It is by Witch Studio. It is a beautiful, beautiful story. Very emotional. The animation gives me hope, man. I shed a tear many times because of how beautiful this anime is. I love it completely. Bochi is a good boy. Kage, a great best friend. Just large cast of amazing characters. The story is mysterious. It's epic. I really look forward to seeing where this goes, man. I haven't talked about it much because I sadly do not have much to say about it, other than it's just a masterpiece. I'm currently watching Macross. I'm supposed to be done. I'm running late. Blame my social life. Turns out I actually have a social life. Uh, this is amongst the worst airing this year. All right, so Planet Man is made by the authors of Death Note, and this is an embarrassment. The writing is horrible. Mirai, his philosophical pacifist stance is unrealistic and it makes no sense. Why is he even at the battles if he's not willing to kill anybody? Like, what is even the point? And look at that score, 666. Come on, like Mirai is one of the most terribly written main characters I've ever seen. He's gullible, he's naive, he's a crybaby, he can't do anything for himself. He causes people to get killed. He he is head over heels over a girl, and it's just embarrassing how that plays out. He cannot take the shot, and it's so obnoxious. There's a character dying of cancer that is doing more than he can against Metropolitan. I want Metropolitan to win because the main cast is just so annoyingly badly written. I just want Reinhardt to kill them all. Yeah, this is an embarrassment of a series. It's an embarrassment to Death Note. This shows that great writers can flop every now and then. But the worst part is that I'm only halfway there. 12 more episodes left. Yeah, so that's anime 20 in 2021. Overall, a mistake. And I can't wait to go through this all over again this year. Thank you for listening.